Hey everybody. I just wanted to speak a little bit about the planet's heliacal phases and cycles. And this is going to be a short video, I hope. I guess it's just a further reflection on a transmission I uploaded just earlier today. And I brought up the matter of my father's transcendence. So I had a look at some things from a Babylonian perspective. I had previously as well, but I just picked up on something pretty special today. So let me just show you. So this chart here is actually um, the date and time that my father transcended this earth plane. There's a couple of things that I wish to highlight. Planets, every planet has a cycle. In the context of helical cycles, which is an ancient observation from the ancients that's pretty much been neglected in modern astrology, forgotten about, not known about, not understood, and so forth. Of course, I have Roman Kolev to thank for this from the context of helping me understand it, which I'm still learning about it. So planets have these cycles where they are in um, some type of phase, right? And it all corresponds to their alliance with the sun. And they will either be a morning star, for example, or an evening star, or they will be invisible at certain times. They have all these different levels to them. Now, when my father transcended, let me just say this. First of all, if I was to pick one planet to describe the connection between myself and my father, it would be Venus, without a doubt. And I'm talking about Venus at the deepest, unconditional, vibrational, highest frequency of love that words could never describe. That's the kind of connection I still have with him. So Venus describes my connection with my dad. Now, Venus had a heliacal appearance just before my father's transcendence. That's one thing. And there she is down there. It says Morning Star. It says MS7. Okay. So that basically means that that's the seventh appearance date, if you like, of her morning star appearance. So, in the process of my father transforming, which is quite interesting because he was a morning star Venus and I am a morning star Venus at birth. So, morning star Venus appearing heliacally, just basically days and days before his transcendence is very, very significant. Not only that, but the degrees that she appears corresponding to my father's transcendence is happens to be at 1 degrees of Pisces, Babylonian, which is the degree of my Venus in Pisces in my Babylonian chart. So can you understand the correlation and the connection there? Venus's heliacal appearance as a morning star happened at the first degree of Babylonian Pisces, which conjuncts my natal Venus in my Babylonian chart. That's one thing, which is, I can't tell you just how significant that is, but it is. The second thing that I want to point to is Jupiter, which is just up here. Perhaps I'll grab a highlighter, as this chart can sometimes be very difficult for people who have not seen it. So this is a Babylonian chart we're looking at. So there's Jupiter and there's Venus that I was speaking to a moment ago. Now, Jupiter is also in a very important placement relative to my father's transcendence. First of all, It's up here in the 10th house and it's conjunct Spica. And I have Spica on my midheaven natally. So it's as painful, to say the least, excruciating as that process was for me. There was a Jupiter Spica alignment. Now, Jupiter, a lot of people might not know this, but Jupiter can often describe the death of a father, the transcendence of a father. First of all, because Jupiter is a masculine um, archetypal figure and a protector, and it depends on the relationship you had with your father. For me, my dad was so Jupiterian. I've got a Jupiter Pallas Athena aspect in my chart as well, which is the mythology of the father and the daughter, the closeness and the bond of the father and the daughter, and the wisdom that they both reflect and shared, which is, down to a T, the relationship between me and my dad. So when Jupiter is prominent in a number of different ways, it can often speak to, someone's father transcending. And here it is here, conjunct Spica, the moment that he left. So that actually gives me great comfort knowing that, pardon me, his transcendence coincided with a conjunction to Spica, which is the most spiritual star out of all the stars. Spica is such a magical, powerful, powerhouse, spiritual star goddess. So Jupiter being conjunct Spica is just such an extraordinary omen for the moment that my father was released. And that's my next point. The reason Jupiter can highlight this very specific theme is because Jupiter corresponds to freedom. And when a soul is ready to transcend over to the other side, the soul is freed from, the shackles of this reality and the body. It's free. It leaves. And there it is lining up there. Furthermore, Jupiter was in a very distinctive heliacal phase during the time that my father transcended, because 3 days, just a few days before this date here, Jupiter was in what's called its cosmic position. And the cosmic position relative to its heliacal cycle basically means that these are the last days that Jupiter is going to be visible in the sky. And a few days later, Jupiter disappears, right? That disappearance means that it's going into the underworld. That's where my dad went, into the underworld, and then he went back up, right? So Jupiter was at that cosmic point where Jupiter was ready to transition into the underworld. It's so extraordinary, actually, when you look at these heliacal phases of the planets, where they are at any given moment and what is actually happening in your life, because they tell you the story literally. So I just wanted to share these two golden descriptions, right, from a Babylonian perspective, from the Babylonian chart, from the Babylonian sky, and from systems that correspond to Babylonian astrology, which is heliacal phases and cycles of the planets. And I think those were the two main things. I'm just going to look here. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. I really just wanted to share these two very specific points, as they are so literal in describing, what was happening in my life on the 23rd of April in 2017. And frankly speaking, I couldn't have had better omens for the journey of my father leaving this world and going over to the other side, the two benefics were involved, Jupiter and Venus. They are the two benefic planets. And those two benefic planets were in very crucial positions in their heliacal cycles. One appeared, Venus, as a morning star at the first degree of Pisces just before my father left. That's an omen, because a very good omen, because it's conjunct my natal Babylonian Venus. And then, of course, there's Jupiter, which corresponds to freedom and release. And Jupiter aligned with Spica, the most spiritual star. Once again, that gives me great comfort. Feeling into those I could feel them at the time before I even had knowledge and awareness of what I'm sharing with you today. Because at that point in time, I wasn't even looking at Babylonian astrology. So it's so magical. And once again, I feel eternally blessed and grateful to be able to see these things, understand them, having lived them, and share them with you. I'll see you soon.